You're tuning into Testosterone, and if you watch us all the time, I think you'll agree that we are the best. So with me right now is Yeastie and Zach, and we're going to continue breaking down the matchups. Two teams that are not the best, the Jets at the Giants in a battle of the Big Apple. Both these teams kind of stinky to start the season off. What's going on with Thomas Jones and the running game, Zach, in New York?
You know, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. You know, they got him as a free agent, and you thought he would start right where he left off in Chicago and be solid. I mean, they got a nice young line in the New York Jets, and I don't know. He's got that 100-yard game, and other than that, he's been struggling, and they definitely need him to get going, you know, to ease things up for
Do you think that he'll get a chance to get it going against the Giants here? It's a home game for both teams.
I think this would be a good matchup for him, or a good time for him to start getting things going against the Giants. I know last week their D-line played solid against the Eagles, but that was against the pass, and they're more of a pass-rushing team than I think they are stopping the run. So,
think these two teams are going to be up for this game, you see, like a battle of the home turf?
You know, anytime that they've matched up before, it hasn't really been that electric of a game, hasn't been that high scoring. So, you know, but everybody's scoring on the Jets so far this year, and people, except for Philadelphia last week, everybody's been scoring on the Giants as well. So, I look for it to be probably in the 20s. Thomas Jones hopefully gets a touchdown for all those owners and everybody that has Leon Washington. You know, if you're looking for a bye week fill-in and you get point per reception, Leon Washington can actually get you some decent points there. But Jericho Cotchery hasn't gotten into the end zone yet, but he's definitely catching a lot of balls.
Huge surprise this year so far, Jericho Cotchery. He's number 4 on the yardage list for receiving with 383 yards. That translates into about a 10-point average if you're just, yardage alone. I like him to get into the end zone this weekend. I think that he could have a nice game, and I think the Jets are going to be up for this game, a battle for the Meadowlands type of situation. When you guys mentioned the defensive line from the Giants last week, they were in the house enormous last weekend. Osi Umenyiora, career game, 6 sacks. Are the Giants' defense, do they make a good play here in this game, Zach?
I think last week was a little misunderstood because I think Winston Justice was starting in place of Trod Thomas in that game. So they had a rookie that OC was going up against, so I don't know if you can really judge it off that game. I think before that game, that whole team only had about 3 or 4 sacks.
Yeah.
And I mean, they got 12 in one game.
Osi Umenyiora now leads the league in sacks with 6, so he got 6 in that
in
game.
one game. So I don't know if you can really go off of Monday night's game.
Yeah, is Plaxico going to play, Steve? What do you think about that?
Plaxico, he's not practicing. He kind of did this last year. It looks like he'll play. Ruben Drones got a couple of touches last week, but it looks like Brandon Jacobs is going to be back probably in a limited role this week. So be careful and watch whoever's going to play. You know, Derek Ward should still get the majority of touches.
And he should be a definitely good play this week.
Anybody who follows our show much at all knows that Jesse is a huge Brandon Jacobs fan and has nicknamed him the Kraken. Well, teams have been cracking on Brandon Jacobs' knee all season. I think that's going to continue to happen because his legs are so long. So to me, Jacobs is the kind of guy who is going to sustain a lot of hits and makes a better goal line back than anything. Did you want to add something there, Yeastie?
No, I just kind of laugh at Jesse every chance I get whenever he's all in love with a guy and then his knee collapses. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. He just runs high, and that's just the way he's built. I mean, he's 6'4". What do you expect?
What are you gonna do, right?
You got to go for his legs to take him down.
Yeah,
a big guy like that. So,
Seattle at Pittsburgh, the next matchup. This is two teams who have definite playoff aspirations. It should be a hard-fought battle. So far, right now in the season, Willie Parker doing his best impression of Tiki Barber. Great yardage, no touchdowns. What's going on with Willie Parker? How do you like him this weekend?
I've liked the way he's ran the ball so far this year. Had a rough game against the Arizona Cardinals last week, but kind of expected that with all the experience that Whisenhunt and Russ Grimm had against them. So I look for him to get back on track. I mean, you can't bench Willie Parker no matter who he's playing against. So Roethlisberger actually is playing pretty well. Santonio Holmes had a big game as a premier receiver once Hines Ward went out. So, overall, I think all the Steelers will play pretty well.
Absolutely. And the thing with Willie Parker is he's going to get all the carries. Doesn't really have any competition. So.
On the Seattle side of the ball, I see this game as a little bit more of a low-scoring kind of game. Two teams who don't know each other real well, going to kind of feel each other out. Seattle has really made some nice improvements on the defensive side of the ball over the last couple of years, bringing in guys like Julian Peterson, now Patrick Kearney. This is a defense that makes a great bye-week fill-in for your team. They could still be on the waiver wire, although they put up like a whopping fat total last weekend. Good chance they've already gotten picked up, but if they're still free, pick them up. Their offense has been about what we thought they would be. One big surprise has been Deion Branch. 117 yards he put up against the Ravens. How do you think he's going to fare this weekend? Let's start with you, Zach.
Hasselbeck has had a great season so far, and Deion Branch is starting to become his go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Burleson's getting a few catches here and there, but I think Deion Branch will be his main guy. And the way he's throwing the ball, he'd be a guy you could definitely start, even against the Steelers. So
DJ Hackett is a name that was the flavor of the month for sleepers in everybody's draft. He's on the injured reserve right now in fantasy football, not playing from week to week. Nate Burleson hasn't been really very good. Their running game has been decent, although Sean Alexander as a first-round pick hasn't been really that good. Yeastie, tell us a little bit about what you think about Alexander here in this game and then going forward.
I don't really think you can expect anybody to do that well against the Steelers when they're running the ball. Edgerrin actually surprised me, and the offensive line of the Arizona Cardinals surprised me at how well they played last week. So with the experience that Seattle has, you can't bench Sean Alexander. I just don't think he's going to get 100 yards, probably 70 yards or so, and maybe a touchdown. But you can't ever bench Sean Alexander because he can always have one of those 2 or 3 touchdown games.
Yeah. And also with a game like last week, Tomlin's going to have that defense fired up. They don't want to give up anything like they did against the Cardinals. So I think they're going to come out fired up, and they're going to stop Sean Alexander. So
Mike Tomlin, probably the early front-runner for Coach of the Year or new Coach of the Year at the very least, and how great would he look in purple colors?
Not Norv Turner?
But I digress.
No. Okay.
That's not going to happen anytime soon. 2 teams that have had a lot of positivity to start this season. Detroit takes its high-flying act to Washington, where the Redskins wait to do battle. Yeastie, give us your take on how this game is going to shake down. Is John Kitna going to find much room through the air?
I want to say yes, he is, but that Washington secondary is very much improved, and LaRon Landry is killing people in the secondary. So the last time they went on the road, they laid an egg against Philadelphia and got whacked. So hopefully they do, because I have quite a few Lions in all the different leagues I'm in. But be careful. Don't expect the high-flying show that they put on. But when they're on the road, we'll just have to see how it plays out whenever they're traveling. But I think they'll have a decent day.
I'd have to say I think they're going to have a big day, actually. He said Leon Landry, and Sean Taylor, they're not more coverage guys, they're more big hitter guys. Mm-hmm. So I think Kitna will be able to find plenty of room. And then Fred Smoot's always playing. So
Calvin Johnson, he going to play this weekend?
As of now, I think he's
questionable.
Iffy. I don't know.
Yeah, he's still kind of iffy, but hopefully he'll suit up. They've got him as questionable right now. Sean McDonald's had a hell of a year so far. Mike Furry's still hurting a little bit. So if Calvin Johnson stays out, Sean McDonald makes a hell of a play.
But in that offense, it seems like no matter who Marks puts in there, they're going to get some stats for whoever. Sean McDonald, guys like that make good pickups. Yeah. They can always get you a touchdown, 50, 60 yards. So,
in the interest of not chasing the stat line, I would suggest to not play the Detroit Lions defense here this weekend. They had a fat total in last week's game, but on the road they're going to be a different squad, especially against a team that likes to run the ball. Al Saunders, the offensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins, is going to have his boy Clint Portis running all over the place, if you ask me. I love Clint Portis coming off the bye this weekend. How do you like Clint Portis here coming up, Yeastie, in this game?
I just read a little something this morning on Fanball about he still has a knee sprain and he's having a couple issues with that. But I think actually both Portis and Liddell Betts make solid starts this week, especially for guys that have bye week problems. I think this score could get out of hand. If it does, could get kind of a wild back and forth game like Washington and Arizona used to play a few years ago quite a bit. Liddell Betts and Clinton Portis could both average about 15 points.
And that's with Washington. They have the luxury of having 2 really solid running backs. So even if one guy's a little bit weak.
Yeah. And watch out for Antoine Randall as well, because Santana Moss is kind of banged up. So
what can we expect? How about Cooley in the red zone?
Cooley's only caught 6 passes so far this year for about 55 yards, and he's got 2 touchdowns, though, so they're definitely looking his way in the red zone. Thank God, because I have him in the tough league. So hopefully they keep looking that way and he can get a few more catches as well.
I think in the last few games he's spending a lot of time blocking at the line, so I think in this game they'll be able to open it up a little more and get him out in pass routes. So
yeah,
he'd make a good play, definitely.
One of the crappiest old teams in the league is the Miami Dolphins, and they are on the road this weekend at Houston. Matt Schaub and his high-flying affair They went to Atlanta last weekend and they laid an egg pretty much, got beat. Now they host the Miami Dolphins. What do you think is going to happen in this game, Zach? Why don't we start with you?
I'm actually pretty high in Matt Schaub this week. He proved last week that even with Jacoby Jones and Andre Johnson out, he actually can. I think he picked up Andre Davis. Mm-hmm. They put him in and he had a solid game, and I think he's actually a solid play. He's actually had two pretty solid games in a row. He had 100 yards and a touchdown last week. So Matt Schaub's proven that he can make receivers good. He doesn't need to have the stars out there that Andre would possess. So,
can we trust Amon Green in this game, you see?
Oh, he's battling a couple of different things. His knee is still a little bulky on him, and as well, his stepfather passed away a couple days ago, so he may actually be away for the funeral. So keep an eye on that. I don't know how quickly they bury dead people in every state and all that stuff. But he could be gone. So Ron Dane's probably going to get the start, even though he got stuffed 3 times at down and 1 situations last week. So Sam Congato could actually make a sneaky play if you're really desperate. But if you're rolling with Sam Congato, you're in trouble anyways. But I wouldn't expect too much from Amon Green, even if he does play at this point.
And they got to stop pitching the ball around Dane. It's not working.
One other player that has risen from the grave is Ronnie Brown. How do you guys like Ronnie Brown here in this game? Zach, go ahead.
You got to like him against Houston. He's got 2 solid games in a row, and what's to expect that they're not going to give him the ball?
Yep.
And not only that, he's a great receiving back, so he gets those extra receiving yards, and he can always make plays and score. He's one of those rare guys who can score from anywhere on the field, so there's no reason to expect he won't have a pretty big day.
You agree with that, Yeastie?
Yeah, it's about time that Cam Cameron realized he's got a little mini LaDainian Tomlinson out there, and as long as he can stay healthy, and they're not going to try to get Jesse Chapman in the game for whatever reason they were doing that for, I was sour on Ronnie Brown for the first couple weeks. I thought I was right, and then the last couple weeks, I'm like, son of a,
Yeah.
So, but hopefully he continues because I like to see guys succeed. So hopefully Ronnie Brown continues to do well.
Absolutely.
There is such a thing in testosterone world as the Yeastie curse. So if you've got Ronnie Brown, now just you can just get down on your knees and pray to God that the Yeastie curse doesn't bite Ronnie Brown. He's about to go down. Ronnie Brown, the Yeastie curse is in full effect.
I was right on Travis Henry last week, wasn't I?
Right, you were right on Travis
That's
Henry,
right.
although you also said that several other backs were going to get injured who did not. So way to hedge your bets by calling out like 5
If you
different
call out
guys.
like 5, at least one of them's going
You got to go right on one of them.
We're going to take another little break so we can go and catch our breath and come back to reality where I'm still the champ of the Tough League. Join us right back here after a few moments.